Hey, Bucs fans, welcome to another night of Buc AF. For all of you who are Buc as, well, you know what the F stands for. Listen, hey, we are ready for a good time tonight. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're starting off. We're going to kick this whole thing off with a very special guest. So I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited about the Bucs 9-3, guys. There's a lot to be happy about, and we're going to dig into all of that in just a little bit. First things first, we're going to kick this thing right off with a special guest. I'm excited to have him on here. You've seen him on many occasions. You've seen him on TV, on the Jumbotron. You've seen him everywhere. Let's welcome Big Nasty. How you doing, Keith?
How's it going, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Whoops, let me get this all there we go. Let's get us arranged. All right, I'm excited to have you here. I've met you twice. Once was before the game we got killed in Atlanta, and the next was for I actually got to sit with you front row at a game when we got our butt kicked by Baltimore.
We're not having very luck together watching games together.
I know. Hopefully this is not a curse for this weekend.
No, not at all. I tell you what, with our home win streak going on and being undefeated this season I'll be honest with you, it's kind of definitely abnormal, for Buc fans. So
yeah,
at least for us old ones, that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if now I've been a fan since '76. I've been since day one. For those of you who you might recognize, you might be looking to Keith going, I don't recognize him. Well, you will in a minute, because I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of him that might look a little more familiar in his his garb with Roger Goodell. Now, I'm not sure who was getting booed. I think it was probably Roger at that point, but that is you with Roger Goodell. And more importantly, and I want to talk about this story right here, the Hall of Fans. And you had the experience of that we all sort of dream of, that we see the players sitting in the room or sitting wherever, waiting for that knock on the door. And you're welcomed into the Hall of Fame. You've experienced that as a fan. How cool is that?
It's beyond a humbling, rewarding, unforgettable experience that is just amazing. I mean, especially now that David Baker, the commissioner of Pro Football Hall of Fame, has retired. You still see him out making sure he gets the rings out from last year. But for that man to knock on my door, golly, I'll be honest with you, I was so worried, because there's a video floating out there. My wife was on a chair in front of the door, behind the door, wanting to get a good video, hoping and praying. Well, it was supposed to be at 9:00. Well, 9:00 came, then it was 9:30. Then it was 9:45, and they told us only one of us was getting in. So at 9:45, I was pretty down. I was already past the hyperventilating stage. It was pretty intense. And then to hear the door knock, my wife screaming, my daughter there with me, just so happy. It's a day I'll never forget. It wasn't as rewarding, but it was pretty damn close to watching my daughter be born. Because the words that David Baker shares with you, I just can't explain it to you. It's all the years of painting up and just being a solid human being and fan for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and giving back, and to see that come full circle. And here you are having the commissioner of Pro Football Hall of Fame telling you how great you are and how excited that they're to have me in the hall was just remarkable.
How long does it take to do that makeup?
Well, you got to remember, back in the day, I didn't have to do it. I could just sit back and wait. We had a makeup artist come to the house, and then it was my wife getting up at 5 a.m. on game days, and I had to make sure that changed quick because I wanted to stay married. So it's about an hour. It's about an hour to get ready on the face paint, but 5 minutes to get it off. And believe me, when I'm done, I want to get it on.
Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah,
You're ready.
yeah.
How does that not come off from all that heat? I mean, you're sitting in 95, 97-degree heat. I remember when I was on the field as a photographer, I remember how sweaty and nasty and just whatever. I can't
I
imagine carrying that face paint.
I don't know how the players do it. I remember there was one game, and this is no joke. It was against the Philadelphia Eagles at Raymond James Stadium. I was on the field with Sean Young, the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame fan, and Sean and me are taking a picture by the thermometer, and it was 120 degrees on the field. And that's in Florida, guys. That ain't in the desert. That's
right.
in Florida. And I remember it was so hot. It was actually hard to breathe that day.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm on the front row, so I'm not far from the field. So we get all the heat we can imagine. But you know, you got to stay hydrated. And now that I'm getting older, I can be honest with you guys, I get more dehydration problems after the games than you can even imagine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's actually why I stopped shooting at Bucs games, was just how horribly it wasn't fun. And I mean, but to sit there and your passion and how excited you are during the games, and even when, I mean, I just think, you know, and you do so much that even when it's a game that, like, we were getting destroyed by Baltimore and you've got to be on. Yeah. And that's amazing. That
there's no time off. You know, don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to be a super fan, right? And the deal is all this media and stuff like that. The real deal is to just stay faithful and stay true to your team, no matter what. Even when we're 0-26. Yeah. And I can tell you, you're still cheering like they're in the game, even if they were down 42-0. You know, so. And that's kind of what the old days were. So, but, you know, you always had the word hope, right? And you always prayed and hoped that we were going to get better and we're going to win a couple games. And then, you know, all of a sudden we start winning championships. I'll never forget the 79. As long as I live, that was probably the best one to me. And it wasn't even a Super Bowl championship. But now, I don't know how to act. You know, I just 9-3.
Well,
you know,
this actually brings up where a good portion of my show is going to be about this tonight. Okay. And about how Bucs fans don't know how to act. And there's so much I don't understand, almost negativity when you go on Facebook and the people saying fire the coaches. And I'm just like, what in the world?
I love
17
Twitter.
Out of our last 20 games, and people are saying the defense sucks, the coaches need to go.
I laugh and I try not to get mad because, you know,
you're a better man than me.
You love our team like you're your brother, right? And when somebody starts talking smack, especially for some of these players that you know have been hurt and are true warriors and coming back, and all of a sudden it's their first game back and man, he's killing it, just annihilating. And then all of a sudden, I'm not going to bring up the name because the people on Twitter know the ones that are hammering the players, and I'm like. All of a sudden, I said, holy crap, do you realize what this guy just came off on an injury? And you guys are giving him crap? I'm amazed that they're even back for the season these days. So, you know, the biggest thing is you just got to stay with them through thick and thin. And, you know, golly, man, I'd be afraid for some of our Buck fans, man, because, you know, you don't turn your back on your family, right? And sometimes I think, you know, you get that armchair quarterback, and I get it on Facebook too, especially the away games.
Right.
We go nasty. They should have did this. They should have did that. I'm like, when you get paid multi-millions of dollars to make coaching decisions, then I'll listen to you. But right now, we ain't got no control over that stuff. That's why we have Coach Arians and his staff to take care of it.
And perhaps we've got a little bit of information to tell us they kind of know what they're doing. Since 17 out of the last 20 they've won, and you can go ahead and fit in a Super Bowl championship in the middle of that.
The Patriots, you think he's going out of, including me, you think he's, you know, coming here to retire and go to pasture, and, you know, and then all of a sudden they mesh on a brand new offense, never seen it a day in his life. And then you get the Gronk. I mean, golly, you could sell me the Brooklyn Bridge. I wouldn't have believed it. And then all of a sudden, you end up going on the road, winning all the games on the road to win a Super Bowl, guys, and then to win it in our own house. Guys, that's to watch that Super Bowl win with my daughter at Super Bowl 55, Bucs beating up on the Kansas City Chiefs. It will never get topped.
Yeah, to me as a fan, you walked on the moon as a Bucs fan. I mean, the fact that you were able.
I was in some kind of different galaxy. I don't know what the heck that was, but that doesn't come around very often.
No, a Super Bowl at home doesn't come around. It's only come around once ever. I mean, it's just holy cow, man. I mean,
hey, Rick, I don't know if you saw things on Facebook leading up, but when we went to Canton, and that was 2020, right? You know, with the COVID, they still had us come up. They gave us our jackets, gave us our rings. Then they had to come back 2021 because we missed all the festivities. So I got 2 Hall of Famers. But here's the cool thing I got to share with you. We're walking through the Hall of Fame, and my daughter stops me. And it was great because there was nobody there. I got to take my time and not get.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey, I want a picture. I want a picture. I really got to really examine the whole hall, and it was unbelievable. So my daughter Destiny goes, Dad, look at this. And it said on the wall, a yellow wall said, no team has ever hosted and won a Super Bowl. I kid you not. My daughter says, Dad, we got to take a picture next to this. I'm like, why? And she goes, yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Right. Come on, Brady, just getting here, maybe a couple years down the road. We take that picture. She posts it on Facebook. That was back, you know, way before the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, that comes to fruition.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable. And bottom line, when I went in 2021, they had painted over the wall sign. It was pretty neat. So, believe me, we went to go find it. I wanted to carve it out of the wall and bring it home.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Mr. Baker would like that or not.
That is awesome. I mean, that's the thing is we've been able to experience in what I think in the last year and a half. I don't even have words. It's ridiculous how good things have been and how you get one guy after another. And I mean, I was as wrong as could be when Fournette became available and everybody started jumping on it. We got to get him. We got to get him. I'm like, everybody stop saying that every time a recognizable name comes up. Stop saying we got to get him. And then we got him.
And he's balling out.
I mean, no joke. And that's the thing is it was one after it was Brady, then it was Gronk. I mean, it's Fournette, it's AB. It's, you know, I mean, all the talk about we got to get AB, we got to get AB. I finally just by that point, I said, yeah, fine. Go ahead.
Right.
You know, I mean,
and just so, hey, I could go on the record here with you, Rick. All you guys that are messaging me about the, you know, Antonio and Mike, listen.
Yeah.
We want win games. Do we watch football to watch them win? We want Super Bowl championships.
That's right.
Don't tell me you want to cut somebody after they won you a Super Bowl. I mean, come on, guys. It's common sense. Antonio being on our team for the Super Bowl run here makes a huge difference.
That's right.
Let me ask you this, Buc fans. Say you let him go and Green Bay Packers pick him up. How you feel about that?
Yeah, and then you got to face him. And
yeah.
The guy has been a solid citizen. He made a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a mistake. I've made them. I mean,
I'm not saying he's the most. I'm not saying he's the most ethical thing on the place of earth. Okay.
Right.
I'm also not going to give any comment on it because you know what? None of us really know. You're listening to the media. So when you listen to media, they know half the truth. You don't know everything. Yep. So when I look at it that way, I've never met the man. And that's the thing I think Buc fans really miss out on is we like in 2002, 2003 Super Bowl championship, right? We were connected with that team. We got I call the touchy and feely. You got to go to Fan Fest and meet the guys and get autographs and listen and have a connection with the players. Now it's more like social media, and it's sad because I've never even met Tom Brady. I've never met Gronk. Now we went back and forth on Twitter a couple times with Gronk, but never met him. Would love to meet the guys. I mean, come on, that would be unbelievable. But I think once we get back to that, where we can go to camp again, and then the fans could be out there, and you know. And I tell you, it goes a long way for an autograph. It really does. Yeah, it goes to generations deep. You know.
Well, that to me is the thing where I mean, I look at this team, and I think while you don't get the actual autograph, I think in a lot of ways we do know them better because of how they interact on social media, and they are always out there. Let me ask you this. Did you know Tom Brady better 15 years ago than you do now?
No. But I also wasn't a Patriots fan that got to see him up there either. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that know him like, hey, Tom, you know, what was the example of the Santa Claus guy in the locker room when he went back to Foxborough? I mean, you knew that guy knew him. You know what I mean? It was in the locker, you know, going through the locker room, you know. So, you know, obviously, I think even I'm not going to beat it up, but I'll tell you what, it's got so much good and bad in it. Yeah. But I just like to see. I'm a big judge of character face to face. How's that sound?
There you go.
You know, I'm not. I don't like what all the stuff I hear, this, that, and that. I like to. I'm a seer to believer. How's that sound?
That makes total sense. I just know, like, I look at the Patriots fans, for instance, that we've had on the show, and even they were saying, yeah, we had no idea Brady was that funny. And now I don't know how much of that is his team telling him what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, but you can't come up with that kind of timing and that kind of everything if that's not somewhat part of you. And you've got to think that's, you know, he's got that you know, that part of him. And I think, yeah, I mean, not only is he having probably his best season ever, but the guy seems happy. Gronk seems happy. And this is a happy team. Mm-hmm. And so that's why
he didn't seem happy about 3 losses. I could tell you that.
No,
which is good. You know, that's a great thing for us fans. I'm glad you're sourpussed. I'm glad you're ticked off.
Yep.
You know what? If you enjoy going to work after a loss, you know, it's not always fun. I've always been the biggest sore loser in my entire football career. Everybody else would go party after the games, and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna go cry in my bowl of Wheaties. You know, I was just like, I'm gonna handle it.
Yeah, he wasn't saying check your sheet. That's all I'm gonna say. He wasn't.
He
wasn't doing that.
Exactly.
Listen, Keith, I don't want to keep you too long because I want you to come back at some point, and I really appreciate you being here, my friend. Big Nasty.
Hey, man, appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. And please, everybody, follow Big Nasty on Twitter. Is that your where do you suggest?
Yeah, you can see either Big Buc Nasty on Twitter or Big Buc Nasty on Instagram, Facebook, just Keith Kunzig, like you see it there.
Very good.
And you guys have a great and happy holidays to everybody. Everybody stay safe. And here's to 10-3.
You got it. Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
All right. That's awesome. That is Big Nasty, Keith Kunzig himself, stopping by in the house to spend a little time with all of you who are Buc AF. It's guys, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to cover. Dave's not here tonight. He's on vacation. So he is vacating and having a good time. So good for him. But to all of you, we've got so much stuff to cover. We've got a good time to have right here on Buc AF. So I want to talk to you guys about one thing. 1 year ago today, I posted a video when the Bucs were 7-5. And it was a video that the only way I know how to say it, the reason I posted it is because so many of you fans, you are so awesome. You are so awesome. You're awesome because in a game like the game against the Falcons, you talked more about the pick six right before the half than the fact that the Buccaneers won by what was it, 31-10, 30-10, something like that. I don't remember the final score right now. You guys saying this, if this defense doesn't straighten up, there's no way we're gonna win. When of course they had 5 sacks and only allowed 10 points. This was a video I posted a year ago when our record was 7-5. A year ago, we were 7-5. This couldn't be more applicable than it is today. So I'm going to play it here for you guys, and I want y'all to listen to it. Get a piece of paper, write down the rules if you have to. I'm going to make a little graphic, and I'm going to refer to these rules from time to time. All right, guys, pay attention. Everybody pay attention. Now, I know this year we're 9-3. Last year we were 7-5. And I gave you this. Hey, you call yourself a Bucs fan? Some of you, not even close. You don't know what being a fan is. But tonight, we're here to change all that. Welcome to Buccaneer Fan Academy. School's in session. Are you ready? 10 simple rules to being a good Buccaneers fan. Rule number 1. If you call yourself a fan, root for your team more than you gripe about it. This is going to be a stretch for some of you. According to my news feed on Facebook, you guys have a hard time with this one. Rule number 2. Free agents that leave are now the enemy. I don't need to explain this. I think it explains itself. Rule number 3. Heckle or blame the refs at least once per game. That's your job as a fan. Rule number 4. Stop thinking that changing coaches is the answer. Every 2 years you want to change. Heck, man, practically every year you want to change coaches. That's not the answer. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is nothing but insanity. Rule number 5. Wins and losses are the actual benchmark of whether or not your team is good. Your expectations are not the benchmark. You might expect perfection, but your team can still be a really good team even though they don't live up to your unrealistic expectations. Wins and losses, folks. Your team's 7-5. They're going to the playoffs. This is the best year in a decade and a half, and your quarterback is even breaking the record, basically having the best season of any quarterback in the history of the franchise. You say, no, he's not. He didn't throw for that many yards. If it's only yards, okay. But he's going to have half the picks, 4,400 yards, 38 touchdowns. Sorry, guys. Best season ever for a Buccaneer quarterback. Rule number 6. It's okay to be happy. Really? Rule number 7. No, really. It's okay to be happy. You can do that. And this is the season to do it. Rule number 8. No amount of evidence will convince an idiot. Let the negative folks be miserable. They want to be. They want to be unhappy. Leave them be. You're not going to change their mind. Rule number 9. Embrace the positive, but be realistic. The team's not perfect. The slow starts are brutal. They make the games really difficult to watch. The offense, throwing the ball and abandoning the running game, throwing the ball like they are, that can be tough to watch. Having said that, the team is 7-5, and again, this is your team going to the playoffs for the first time in like 15 years. Come on, guys. Come on. And rule number 10, remember it. Write it down. Put it on your forehead. Do whatever you got to do. This is supposed to be fun. This is your leisure time. This is what you do for fun. If you're miserable as a Buccaneers fan, what are you doing here? Come on, class of 2020. You can do this. You're the future. All right. So that was from a year ago. And now we're 9-3. And people are still saying some of the same things. By the way, guys, breaking news. Apparently hot off the presses. Sports Illustrated has named their 2021 Sports Person of the Year. And it's your quarterback. So congratulations to Tom Brady, because of course he's watching. Anyway, but yeah, congrats to Tom Brady for being the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year. So guys, look, we got so much to be happy about. 9-3. They took care of the Falcons. They did it. They did take care of the Falcons. They did what it took. You know, I'm not sure what to say other than that. It's we're getting to go along for a fun ride now, aren't we? And oh boy, the night gets even better when this guy stops by. I'm always happy when this guy when I get to share the screen with this guy. There's a reason they call him the best of the Bay. Absolutely, there is a reason. And let's add him to the stream. Cup Ray Kennedy. How you doing, my friend?
Rick, I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Now I'm doing better. You're here.
Yeah, I love the Bucs Fan Academy. I remember that last year when you first ran that, and yeah, it took us a little. Hey, you know, and in defense of Bucs fans everywhere, it took a few years for them to get back to even the playoffs, and then of course even not even winning the NFC South in 2020. But by this point, you got to have the rules down. You got to know what's going on here.
Yeah, just be happy and enjoy it. I mean, that's really this is the fun part. I mean, it's not going to get better than it is right now. It's just not going to get better. So if you're not happy now.
Well, and Rick, here's the thing. I always say this, and we say it all the time, but I try to include this on every show. It's not just about the destination. It's also about that journey. And, enjoy it week to week. And, the downs make the ups even better, and the ups just don't take them for granted. And, 9-3, and I love it. Greg Allman of The Athletic had a nice piece today, and he's starting to piece together that, maybe 2 weeks ago, we kind of thought the Bucs would continue to have a good chance at maybe maybe getting into that number one or overall number one seed in NFC. And, now we got a good schedule. We got a tough one this week against the Bills, but we see a road where if the Cardinals lose a game and we're basically even with the Packers, we can even that out with another win in the division. Mm-hmm. As far as the NFC, Bucs could be in control of their entire destiny, but they do have to take them one at a time. But winning out would not hurt at all.
No, if they go on a run like they did at the end of last year, would you want to meet them in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, and I was even talking to someone today, and I go, well, we don't want to go, any team on any given week, even the Panthers twice with, now that Brady's fired as the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, of course, and the question as to who's going to play quarterback for them, and even Coach Matt Rule after just 2 years. But, any team can give those Bucs a problem, but I said, we'd like to have that home field or have the overall. And he's like, well, would you guys still? I said, no, we're not worried. We're still going to, root for this team. And we see a way that this team is better heads and shoulder above everyone else. But we really don't want to go to Green Bay in January. We got lucky last year, but, that could be a hard pass.
I don't know that they got lucky. They beat them
year. Well, I mean with the weather though, because it was a mild day.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
I don't think
you were very right about that.
Right. And you get a snow day there in Green Bay where, like we saw with the Bills and the Patriots last night on Monday night, it was just.
Wasn't it playing our hands, though? I mean, this is the fun part about this team, Ray. Okay, so the weather's terrible and it's a run game. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, definitely you're right, Rick. And that's the thing about this team. And the way we say enjoy week by week is because there's so many facets to this team. And let me ask you, Rick, I didn't get to talk with you and Dave much the other day in a post game. I was having some issues.
Right.
And Dominic and Sue, didn't expect anything less, but man, the way him and Vita were blowing up the middle.
Yeah.
I think that there's offensive linemen, especially with those Bills this week. We talk about Allen being a mobile quarterback, and he's going to have a chance to be mobile on the grass at Raymond James, but it's not going to be so much, I think, by choice. It's going to be for his life, because the way this defensive line is starting to blow it up, just phenomenal play. And Ndamukong Suh looks like the Ndamukong Suh that was the first-round pick in 2010 coming out of Nebraska to the Detroit Lions.
You know who I think this game sets up nicely for, a player that I think could flash, that we might see some like something special from, is Joe Tryon-Soroyinka.
Yes.
Because of his speed on the rush, and because Joe Tryon-Soroyinka meeting Josh Allen, I can see that. I can see, this is the kind of game that's going to play into his strengths.
Yes.
So
100%. As long as and the only thing, and I don't think it's a problem because we haven't seen it out of the kid this year, and just love the way that Todd Bowles is using that kid all over the place on the defensive side. But especially, we know JPP, it's not the same JPP. The guy's still got the best motor and the biggest heart, but with the shoulder issue and with the injuries he's had this year, he's still bringing it. But Joe's going to have a chance, as long as that rookie, just remember, I call him a rookie because this would possibly be a rookie mistake. Just remember to contain. Remember, lock down your corner, come in. Don't be tempted to rush in and overrush Josh Allen.
That's been his weakness this year. That's been Tryon's weakness this year, has been kind of little, like you said, over rushing. Yeah.
Oh, I talked to James Canada, of course, former Buccaneer defensive lineman, drafted out of Nevada in '98, played for the Bucs for 4 years on those Tony Dungy, teams with the Warren Sapps and
he was a guest here last Tuesday. He's a friend of the show, and he watches.
And I had a great chance to ask him about the Buccaneers drafting Tryon-Soroyinka out of Washington at number 32, and the some people posed that the rich just get richer, and he 100% agreed, because it wasn't a luxury pick whatsoever. It was a need pick. Anytime you can add a player like Joe Tryon-Soroyinka with the talent and length that this kid has, and just the time to develop behind a JPP and learn from a Shaq Barrett, going to be paying many dividends for the Bucs in the future.
Isn't that how you used to feel? I think it's funny. Drafting 32 is funny to me, because you'd watch the Patriots every year, and you'd always be going, how did they get that guy? That late. How did that really? How did they get that guy? And that's what you end up doing now with the Bucs, because there's always that one guy that drops.
Yes.
For whatever reason, and they can afford to take the shot.
Yes.
On the guy with the big, huge upside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the kid, we draft him and he basically goes straight into the operating room because he had the injury, sat out 2020 because of COVID-19. So, he had already put down a lot of tape, and we knew what we got. And what's putting down a lot of tape for these players these days? They're putting down tape from the time they're a sophomore back in high school.
Right.
But, he had to get the surgery, and, he sat out 2020. And not the surgery, but he had a little bit of issue with the injury. But it wasn't that we were taking a flyer; it's just that we didn't need a player that had to get pressed right into duty. And what a great thing! And we go back again to that being a Bucs fan and going week by week instead of always looking at the negatives. Let me ask you, Rick.
Yeah.
Totally off the subject, but as we're moving now, you look at the monster game that Chris Godwin had last week. Are you starting to? You're starting to do the math. We're starting to figure out. Okay. Ndamukong 1 year, and this guy 1 year, and of course Godwin on the franchise, but you're starting to do the math. And I was one of the people 2 years ago that said, oh, well, I love Chris Godwin, out of Penn State, the kid's a hustler, but maybe the wide receiver position is a glove position or a gluttonous position. But now you're still looking, and you see what Tom Brady says about that cat, and you're starting to figure out that Jason Light's got to be already doing the math and long-term math to try to figure out how to keep that Chris Godwin in the fold.
Well, the good thing is next year the salary cap is going way up. So their little gamesmanship with the salary cap this last year was like a sticking the finger in the dike, the stopgap to get us through. They did that, and now that's going way up. The salary cap is going to take a huge jump. And you're going to lose some folks. And I think they're going to lose Godwin. I don't think there's a chance in the world they're going to lose Godwin. And I want to pose something else. all of this stuff about AB that everybody's upset and they're saying maybe they're going to cut him and maybe this, maybe that. You guys understand what that's doing. There, any business person will tell you as part of negotiating.
Oh yeah.
You're making the person, you're talking down your competition. Yeah, you're not that, yeah, you're right. So
yes.
Whoever you're negotiating with, listen, this mistake, this error in judgment,
yes,
by AB, thank you, because it makes you much cheaper to re-sign next year, and that can work in the Bucs' favor.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
And here's the thing again. Not going to try, because you broached it so we could touch it. Not going to try and defend anyone. Not going to get political, because we don't do that here. No. But I still talk about that night back in 2020 when COVID, was just when it was apparent that we were 5 minutes. In fact, it was the dude Keith Larson, of course, the master in ceremonies here at Bucs Report, that called the meeting, because he's like, okay. And this was actually, I'll be honest, I work in government and I didn't see it coming that we were going to have a full, halt and catch fire shutdown. And we here at Bucs Report, the first thing we did was, all right, guys and girls, we've got to lock it down. We're not going to do any false reporting. Don't talk about anything you don't have anything to know about. This is a issue that affects the entire world, and we're not going to put out any misinformation. That being said, I use that to try to point out the fact that we here at Bucs Report, just like everyone else in the world, took this very, very seriously. So don't get me wrong. I'm not defending someone who may or may not, again, just accused, may or may not have. And at this point, the NFL suspends Mike Edwards, Franklin III, and Antonio Brown. So we're thinking, well, maybe it's more than accused. Not going to defend it. Not going to say that it's right. Not going to say that there's 31 other teams in the NFL don't have a player or more that have maybe are in the same boat. What we're saying is the National Football League looked at it all, even with Antonio's history or any other players, came down and said 3-game suspension. We stand by that. Now, if Coach Arians and Jason Light coming out of 3-game suspension 2 weeks from now, they say AB's no longer on the team, we stand by it. If they say AB still has a spot on his team, we stand by it. And the rest of the world can say, well, it's because they need the talent. They're going for 2. No, we're just saying that we're going to trust the men, because Jason Light has been proving.
Let me say this though, Ray.
Yes.
I don't have a problem if they say, yeah, we need the talent. Let's go for 2.
Right.
Listen, they're football players. And let me say this. Roger Goodell and the owners, the Players Association, AB and Mike Edwards and their agents all said, okay, this is the punishment.
Yeah.
So I understand that fanboy may think otherwise,
right?
But sorry, you're overruled.
Exactly. Well, no, and everybody's quick to say, well, Tom Moore is 83 years old, and of course Bruce Arians, 3-time king, with between the issues he had and the skin cancer. Again, men in the room, men and women in the room, making the decisions. If they look at all things and they go, this is our stance on it, then the rest of the world can hate. Go ahead and hate. You can hate us anyway. We're the defending world champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or they're the defending world champion. You're going to hate no matter what. But at the end of the day, if they determine that having a talented Mike Edwards and having a talented Antonio Brown and served a 3-game suspension, we're going to stand by that. But I don't want to spend all night on that. But let me ask you this: we kind of touched on this, you, Dave, and I, in the post-game show on Sunday. We not only, up until this year, we were still trying to figure out, because Coach Arians says it doesn't matter. Fournette and Rojo, RB1, RB2, doesn't matter. And it really doesn't, because in this offense, especially in the no risk and no biscuit, but the maturity level of Leonard Fournette,
it's not RB1 and RB. It's not 1 and 1B anymore. It's not.
No, not at all. And, we're not going to do like the Panthers did with Joe McCaffrey or Christian McCaffrey, Joe's son.
Right.
But we're not going to say $16 million a year. Of course, and that's one of the things that Fournette said in his locker room speech at the Lucas Oil Stadium there against the Colts was, I came back for $3.25 million because this is a special team and a special nucleus. I got to imagine the Buccaneers are also going to try to definitely try to keep Fournette here and moving forward, because don't forget, the kid was phenomenal at LSU.
And the thing is, you can't keep everybody. So, and fans need to understand, guys, we're going to look, you know how the Patriots, they said goodbye to some really good players from time to time.
Yes.
And that's the position that the Buccaneers are in. And understand, we're going to draft a whole new class of players next year.
Yes.
And they're going to have to make room for them. So,
yes.
I mean, people that you know are going to go. That's how it's going to be. We're going to have a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick that hopefully will end up starting whatever. Who knows? Maybe we get a running back in the first round.
Definitely interior defensive line. And that's not a knock on Vita Vea or in Dominican Sue. Dominican, of course, it gets married the last offseason and had the beautiful twins in March. And after last week's performance against the Falcons, it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. But you got to imagine being good friends with Warren Buffett and doing the investments right. There's going to come a time when Dominican's going to say, okay, you know what, I've had enough. It doesn't hurt the Buccaneers to possibly draft that interior defensive line so that, we're ready for that transition.
But the thing, this is the fun part of this is it's like, look, good players are going to go, but the Buccaneers have set themselves up not just for this year. And that's the fun part of this is this doesn't look like a one and done, now we're taking a shot at number 2, but it looks like this is going on. So, I mean, guys, we have a lot to be excited about with this team. I mean, the future looks crazy bright, silly bright almost. And the offensive line, let me tell you, the offensive line, I don't know if Ray, if you heard the stat, it's a crazy stat, but we've thrown the ball more times than any team in the league. And we have fewer sacks than any team in the league. That's a crazy combination.
And the thing is that we talk about how a Donovan Smith benefited from a Tom Brady who gets rid of the ball faster than, say, for example, a Jameis Winston. Still looking at what Andrew Thomas, the Giants draft him out of the University of Georgia last year. And of course, Mekhi Becton goes to the Jets.
Guy I wanted, by the way.
Well, and here's the thing, because he was a tackle and there was it was Tom Brady's first year. And we did, even though best ability is availability with Donovan Smith, I still saw enough of that cat. He always had it looks like he always struggles to get out of his blocks, but that's because he's just hustling back. But talking about that stat, at this point, 85% of the time, every team we play against knows we're going to pass the ball, and still the offensive line is one of the lowest in the league in allowing sacks. And it's not just anymore because Tom can get rid of the ball, although that doesn't hurt.
We're the lowest in sacks. We've thrown more than any other team, and we have the fewest sacks allowed.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are crazy. We got Leonard Fournette. We've got the best offensive line. We have the best quarterback. Receivers, do I need to go there? I mean, it's on this offense. Oh, and then there's Gronk. I mean, it's crazy how fun when you look at this year and you look at what's happening for the Bucs. And I almost wonder if it's not like, I heard the term before, revert to the average, the mathematical principle about, and we were so bad.
Oh, yes.
That now it's swinging back the opposite direction. If we can win a couple in a row, I mean, what a dream, what a dream.
Let me ask home. And I love this again. I'm going to do a shout out again to Greg Allman of The Athletic, because the guy's just locking it down, but he had a nice article this week on The Athletic. Phenomenal. And he talks about the fact that I think at this point it's pretty obvious, unless that cat signs a real, and I'm not saying I don't like the kid. He seems like a good enough person. He's been here for 5 years, never got in trouble. But unless there's some kind of a real team-friendly cap or he comes blazing on, probably not going to see O.J. Howard. He's definitely not going to be one of the Bucs' top priorities to sign this offseason. Right. Also, a Tyler Johnson, of course, we go back, and he's got the key, almost, if not the one of the key plays in that championship game against the Packers last year with the hold on that play. But it goes to show you, Antonio Brown, even when he's been out with the injury, and even, with the 3-game suspension, the Bucs are fortunate to go back and find a Brashard Perryman who had experience in this system and was available. And you start to look at it and you go, well, it doesn't seem as, and maybe he's having, because players have a sophomore slump, but Tyler Johnson, we think this kid is out of Minnesota. The kid's still a phenomenal receiver, but you're starting to look at the number of the plays that kid's getting on the field. And I know there's a log jam at wide receiver, but now you start to go, well, is it just because the team is, doesn't know exactly? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they asked BA about that, about Tyler Johnson, and how come Rashad Perryman had 70+% of the plays. Yes. And he said, well, the bottom line is he's been practicing well, and we've got to get him on the field some. We got to get him some reps.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, I will tell you this. I'm after the Atlanta game and watching what happened in the Atlanta game and feeling like I feel.
Right.
And really, Buffalo has not looked like this dominant, crazy, dominant team like we thought they were going to be. I want to say this. Let's get through this game.
Right.
But after this game, at the most, after the New Orleans game, let's get Gronk off the field, please.
Well,
let's start getting OJ Howard some work, because let's keep Gronk healthy for the playoffs, please.
Just see what you have. And, of course, Bruce Arians talks today. He's like, well, I have no, because he's right. Every game is still counting, because we're still not only, 3 games up in the NFC South. And of course we can lock it up or 4. 4. And with the Saints and Panthers loss this week, we can actually lock it down. But still in contention for that top seed. And Bruce Arians, when questioned by the media today, he's like, well, I have no plans to sit my starters, but of course we'll try to rotate them out like we've done with Tom Brady and, getting Blaine Gabbert. And I'm like, I love Bruce Arians, but, sitting Tom has came out for like a series or two.
No, at the end of games, he's talking when we're up by 38-33 against Chicago or whatever, we bring in Blaine Gabbert. I mean,
yes.
But the thing is this: after the Buffalo game, and look, New Orleans is not trending upward. Okay, they've got a lot of injuries; they're struggling. I think we're going to get them this time, but we'll see. But then we've got the final 3, the final 3 games are the Panthers, the Jets, and the Panthers.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but by halftime, please put yourself in a position where we can start looking at pulling, even if not Brady, start pulling Gronk out. Start pulling these guys to keep them healthy, keep them working, I'm saying, I'm saying is let the other guys come in for some plays. Gronk can play the whole game, but bring the other guys in for more plays.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because if it would have been, because of course next week against the Saints is the Sunday night, the game of the week there, if you will, on the NBC game of the week, and we're going to see all the pomp and circumstance with it. But I'm really glad that it comes this way, where it's the Bills this week and the Saints next week. And let me tell you why. Because still every team's going to give you their best, and you're not going to take the Saints lightly. But if it would have been we're playing the Saints this week, the 8:20, and the Bucs may have been guilty to looking forward to next week playing, last year's AFC East defending champion, whereas opposed to this way. And here's the thing I'm calling for, because the Bills Mafia travels well, and it's gonna be a war out there on Sunday. But with all things being equal, and all of our players, as we're getting back healthy, you're gonna get that home crowd involved next week. I definitely, I just don't see that, and we're not saying this. I don't see the Bucs having a down game. I see them coming out 100% prepared for this game in all facets of the game. And then, of course, after this game this week, then you go into next week, which is a nationally televised against a divisional opponent on Sunday night, nationally televised. But again, like you said, Rick, that team, I mean, I just heard today they signed, the beer guy off the street. He came in to, fill the beer, and he's playing left tackle for them with Ramsey out. So, Sean Payton's still going to try to have something for the Bucs, but everything seems the cards are falling in the Bucs' favor, if you will, as far as really having a shot at that number 1 overall seed. And that would be something that would just, would be really great, not just for because that's the weird thing with 7 games now in the postseason, 7 teams in the postseason from each conference. Only one team gets that bye week. It's the number 1 overall. And man, for a team like the Bucs,
would you really want to look at here's the thing that people don't think about: the number 7 team,
right,
is not always bad. That may be the team getting hot.
Yes,
that you don't want to hit. Who was the most difficult team the Buccaneers played last year?
There you go, Washington football team.
Correct.
Yes.
So I mean, the thing is, you want that bye. You want home games, and you want that bye.
Yes.
And if we could last year go on the road and win every playoff game on the road to come home and win the Super Bowl, this year, let's have every playoff game at home and then go on the road to win the Super Bowl. And,
yes.
I'm glad if it happens, Ray, I'm my craziest look, I get all kinds of things wrong on here. I'm making fun of myself all the time about the stupid stuff I predict or whatever. But before this year started, I said Bucs Patriots. So
oh my gosh, it's starting to look that way, right?
Yeah.
That's and even though they hold Mac Jones back last night, and what a crazy game. You gotta love Bill Belichick, even though you gotta hate him.
Yeah.
The thing is, was it Tom? Was it Bill? Tom comes to Tampa Bay and drops the mic and gets 55 with the Buccaneers.
Yep.
And Bill Belichick, of course, he had like 73 players opt out last year, lost most of his players. But, just leave it to him to go into Buffalo under the crazy circumstances and just stick with the what's
did
working.
Some different things this year in New England. They spent, what was it, 163 million or whatever. I mean, they spent a ton of money, which is something they've never done previously. So they are changing it up and doing some new things.
Yes.
And, this is, I'm not worried at all about the Bucs not being prepared for New Orleans because I think there's a hatred for the Saints. Yeah. I think there's a hatred for the Saints. So I'm not worried about that. The Panthers, that would be the game they just wouldn't be paying attention to. The Jets, that would be the game where you drop one where you're like, what? And then all the fans erupt and say, we suck and fire, But I mean,
didn't run it enough, didn't pass it enough.
I mean,
but I'm glad you pointed out the Washington football team being the Buccaneers' toughest opponents, because if the season ended right now as is, the Bucs would actually be hosting the Washington football team at Raymond James. And, leave it to Riverboat Ron Rivera and Taylor or Heineken, the quarterback, and, whoever's playing kicker this week, and not Blewett because he blew it. The thing is that just leave it to them, and you don't want to do that. Although, let's be honest, even with the, and I know agree with me, you still got to like the Bucs. I like the Bucs' chances against basically any team, unless it's Jesus Christ and his 11 apostles, and they got, John the Baptist is running the ball and he's up for
elite MVP. Matthew runs good routes. So,
well, the thing is, it's just the road trips him up, but it's just so exciting, the Bucs being 9-3. The only other time they've been 9-3, coincidentally enough, was 2003 or 2002, the Super Bowl run, and they continue to do some great things, and even the records getting set. Mike Evans has the 99 yards receiving last week. He's well on his way to that 8th 1,000-yard season. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that, but that's something we really want to see. But this team just continues to astound the fans. And, last year we were saying, in the middle of a pandemic, enjoy it, just enjoy it. And now it's not just so much enjoy it, but also enjoy and respect the fact that my kids will be telling their kids about this team. It's not just the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens or, these teams that are great, the Steel Curtain and this and that. But what the Buccaneers are doing in this group of guys they have together, and that's, of course, what Leonard Fournette, talked about in the locker room, is, historical. And it's not just because they're, it's just because of it. And so enjoy it week to week. And there's going to be downs. But again, the downs make you enjoy the ups more. Yeah. But I guess there's always going to be that.
I just hope one day there's a movie about this.
Yeah.
A movie about this, where we get to go watch, the Bucs on the big screen. We get to watch the story on the big screen. And, old man Brady coming out there and having the best year of his career ever, followed up by the best year of his career ever.
Oh my gosh. The guy's won 5 Super Bowl MVP Super Bowl MVPs. I think he's been, I'm really reaching here because I know this, but I think he's been league MVP twice. Yeah. But you're talking about the fact that, there's some great cats out there. Of course, Jonathan Taylor's not so much on there, although he had another great game last week, but the Bucs shut him down 2 weeks ago. But Brady continues to put the numbers together and has the
Yep.
fear of every defense, that at the end of the day, there's no doubt that when the powers that be go into a room to decide who's your league MVP in 20, because remember, league MVP is the most valuable player for a team. And last year, I thought that hands down Tom should have been up there. But this year, what he's doing, the numbers he's putting up, and the fact that he continues to be that leader from within the locker room.
It doesn't hurt that Aaron Rodgers did what Aaron Rodgers did.
Yeah.
That doesn't hurt.
It's just, and even today, I saw him on the Pat McAfee show. And Pat McAfee, if you're out there watching, which hopefully you are, because, you know, you love good content, and that's what Bucs Report and BAF brings you here. But wearing a tank top in the studio to interview Aaron Rodgers and just to have a complete conversation about Aaron Rodgers' baby toe. I mean, there's a difference between, you know, art imitating life, imitating art. And then there's just a all out, just, you know, and I like Pat McAfee, you know, former punter for those Indianapolis Colts. And, but, you know, I'm like, you know, enough is enough with this. And, you know, maybe it's just because there's a discount double check sponsorship or whatever. But
let's look like I just rolled out of the trailer. And
like I really tried. And I'm one
yeah.
to talk, right? Because I've been known to wear some crazy things on the air, you know, here. And,
Ray,
but, you know,
Ray, you're on national television.
Yes.
You're not rolling up sleeveless.
Tank top and you know, the studio, it's cold. They keep the studio cold with the lights and everything. And I'm like, and you know, of course, you know, and the thing about it, and I'll just go ahead and touch on this, doesn't have anything to do with the Bucs, so I apologize, but you know that Aaron Rodgers on your show on the Tuesday all season, that's your biggest get of the week. That's your biggest show. The most eyes are on your show. So what cognitively goes through Pat McAfee's mind is, and to be honest with you, he's a big guy. But he's not like, you know, he's not like my kind of muscular. I'm kidding. But so you're like, you're thinking is, all right, today I got them. And we know this, Rick, because you've got your shows here. And by the way, can I go ahead and announce what's going on Sunday post game for the Bucs Bills game?
Please do.
You and I are going to be doing the post game show, which is phenomenal. Oh, yeah. I mean, we're going to have a great time. And lots of surprises in store. So make sure you guys and girls are there. Of course, you'll be there with the pregame show with Jimmy Williams and myself as well. But, you know, you're thinking, okay, today's my biggest game day, my biggest show of the week. Got Aaron Rodgers talking about his baby toe or his COVID toe. So I'm going to wear a white tank top. Again, I'm ranting here, but I'm like, it's little things like that make me go, huh?
Yeah. Well, so I'm excited. I don't know if you heard, Ray, it was right before you came on. Sports Illustrated announced their sports person of the year for 2021, and it's Tom Brady. So he's the guy on the cover.
That was tonight. That was over at the Hard Rock. They were having that show. They were having that because I tried to get credentialed for it, and they're like, no, it was too late. But Sportsman of the Year, and I know also there was a Team of the Year. Did they announce that yet, or will that be announced? Because I was thinking that the Bucs.
I have not heard that. I just heard that he is Sports Person of the Year.
That's phenomenal. That's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear to you, I've never been more true, and I said this from the day we signed him, and I'll say it, and I'll take it to the grave. So glad he's wearing number 12. He's under center for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I liked Tom when he was in New England. I love the story. I love the perseverance. People always said, oh, he's this, he's that, you know, with this and, you know, Deflategate, or whatever. You cannot help but not love the drive, the desire, and the way this guy works.
I got to be honest. You know how I was bragging a few minutes ago about how I picked Patriots Buccaneers for the Super Bowl this year? Well, let me tell you what an idiot I am. When the Bucs signed Brady, I was of course I was excited about it. Of course I was excited about it. But I didn't think this was going to happen. Okay. Honestly, I did not think I mean, I didn't know Gronk. The dominoes that fell.
Oh yes.
It's just stupid. The dominoes that fell.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, from not just getting Gronk and Fournette and AB. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Richard Sherman supposedly will be back this week, and he's working a little bit at safety.
What a crazy thing! Reminds me of Rondé Barber, moves from corner to safety, but with the experience he has, and always can move him back into corner.
No, that's what he's going to kind of, I guess, be bouncing back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, going back to what you said there, couldn't predict that Gronk would come running. And also, of course, we go back to the with the call. But
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette and the players that came here. But it's not just that, because we knew we had a good defense. Mike Smith was not running it right, but Jameis was doing a lot. He was throwing for 5,000 yards and then 103 interceptions. But we kind of knew we had a nucleus here. We had a Mike Evans, of course, Jason Light's first draft pick ever. We had an offense. We had a Ryan Jensen at center who the
pick,
Bucs.
by the way, isn't it?
Yes, but I mean, also, heck of a pick. We also had Ryan Jensen, who we signed as a free agent from the Baltimore Ravens a few. There were Jason Light, and I know you're not disagreeing. Jason Light had already been doing a lot to
you're
put
gonna
the
get
team
me on a rant about Jason Light again because I love the guy.
I know, and I tell you what, I mean, him and I had lunch yesterday, and I can't tell you what. First of all, the guy can't pick up a tab to save his life. I'm kidding, But not only the fact that Fournette and Gronkowski come in and AB, but the fact that they were big contributors to that run and then that Super Bowl and that playoff run. So I just think, I hate to say it, but I am a karma guy. I believe in what goes around comes around. For all those 2-14 seasons, for the 0-26, for having Hugh Culverhouse as an owner, for some of the bad breaks the Bucs got, Bo Jackson never, all the things that you can go back and just look at the ineptitude of the way this organization was run before the Glazier family came in. Yeah. Everything that's happened in the last 18 months has been, we were due this on the ledger. I'm enjoying every minute of it. Yeah. So it's.
Do you remember the day that Arians got hired at all? Do you remember him? I remember them posting a video of him walking into One Buc or whatever for the first time, whatever it's called at the time. Now it's the
Advent Health Training,
but whatever.
It's
One Buc at the time.
Yes.
I remember him walking in there and the staff standing there clapping and cheering as he walked in. He walked in with his wife. And if we could have known at that moment that here's this guy who's he never won a Super Bowl, but he had all, everybody was like, wow, this is a good get, know, that he was actually going to fulfill every dream we could have fathomed. And anybody who says he's not a good coach, are you freaking kidding me?
Yes.
I mean, 17-3. They asked him today, what's it feel like? What was it like going 17-3? And he looked like he was surprised. Like, oh, we've gone 17-3. And he goes, I don't know. I just think about the next game. I don't think about that.
He's so bottom line. And here's the thing: the most diversity in the National Football League. Lori Locust and Javadafar, the fact that he's got, show me another team. At this point, it shouldn't even be an issue, but has two African-American offense and defensive coordinators. Of course, both have extensive experience with him, but the experience he puts together with this team and, everything that this entire organization, of course, they win last year. They win the Pete Rozelle Award. They've won the Fan Day Experience 8 of the last 9 years. The thing is that, and there, of course, teams are going to coach because you get to that summit, you stay there as long as you can, but other teams are going to come nipping at your heels, and it's going to happen. It's an ebb and flow of the league. But the thing is, like you said, Rick, so astutely, is that this team, they're not, we haven't sung astute. And I'm not gonna. Don't get me started.
You know, I put the toot in the ass.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But it's not like we're going to be $50 million over the cap next year. Of course, you put that we're going to go back 20% because they went 10% back this year, and we're going to go fluctuate back. But we kicked the can down the road on a couple of contracts, but it's not like we're talking about a team that's going to be in cap heck for the next half decade. As long as Jason keeps making these right decisions, you're going to see a time when a Kyle Trask is going to take over. You're going to see a time where you're going to have, a Joe Tryon
down.
Well,
simmer down. I remember hearing this about Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Yeah, I was wrong on that one.
But the thing is this, man, we don't know yet because we know nothing about Kyle Trask and how good he's doing in practice or what he's still number 3.
Yes.
He hasn't elevated to number 2. So I have no beliefs about Kyle Trask. And anybody who's worried in chat about Kyle Trask, you're worrying about 3 years from now.
Yes.
So by then, we could have a completely different situation. If you asked me 3 years ago who's going to be the Bucs quarterback, And if
Yes.
you would have said Tom Brady and he will be coming off of a Super Bowl driving towards another one, I would have been like, shut up.
Get out of
Yeah.
here. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just it would have been, yeah, I don't think, like you said, you already said that a movie should be made, and it's probably
Yeah.
because, you know, we look back at the way the pieces fell into place during a world pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, guys and girls, remember, Tom Brady was in New York, had to get a third-party doctor to do the physical because
Yeah.
teams couldn't even travel him in, and the next thing we know, we hear that he signed, and it's just like, and then of course he's over at the park there in Tampa and, you know, gets almost arrested because he's working out.
Yeah.
It's almost crazy now to think that we were at a time just, you know, 15, 16 months ago where, you know, even a city park was closed to someone that wanted to run drills.
The uniforms were the big news.
Oh my gosh, yes. And
The
what a great move
change
that
in uniform.
was.
What are the uniforms going to be? What are the new uniforms going to be? That was the big news.
Yes. Now I've got my Doug Williams OG 12, you know, number 12 official game. Wasn't a game worn jersey, but you know, it's $178, $168 for that jersey. Yep. But you know, I've got to tell you though, the moment the Bucs wear those creamsicles next year, and who knows what game. Oh, you know, and I'm gonna have to get, you know, I wouldn't buy one ahead of time. What I've done is I've taken my Doug Williams and I just, you know, taped a piece of paper over it that says Brady. And I would never disrespect Doug like that, or not that it's disrespect, but I'm kidding. But definitely, Bucs wear the creamsicles next year. That week, I'll go ahead and say this right now. Most teams will throw those, you know, throwbacks next year. The Tom Brady throwback jersey will be the number one throwback jersey sale in 2022, without a doubt.
I don't even think it'll be close.
Yeah.
Love it. And that's the thing, is to think about you having been there since, like me, from the beginning. Think about the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest NFL player of all time. Now, look, in basketball, people say Jordan or LeBron. There's an argument. There's no argument in football. Okay.
No.
So the greatest football player of all time is coming out in the creamsicle jersey.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And Levante's first chance to wear it again since his rookie season back in 2012.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. Just going back, just trying, you know, imagine what it would have been like when Joe Montana leaves the 49ers and goes to KC if he'd came here, or imagine if, you know, wouldn't trade it for the world. And I've said this before because I played on an 0-11 team with my, you know, my first year playing 11-man football was for the SJWAA, just around the corner. I actually played in the same league as Keith Larson. We went 0-11 that year. Coach Galizia was trying, but it was our first year playing in the 11-man football. But in that 0-11 year, I learned more about the game of football than I have every year since, or any year that I played. And the reason why I make that point is because Buccaneer fans, you know, all the years the Bucs were at the bottom, and you know the organization was having bad luck, and let's be honest, just making bad personnel and different decisions. It wasn't like we were some kind of, you know, idiot fan base or people that didn't know. In fact, I would pose that all through those years, Buccaneer fans were some of the brightest fans, because not only were we analyzing the team we had and looking for, we were also usually by week 6 we were trying to do the math to figure out how we were not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet. But you know, it makes all this all the more enjoyable. So again, enjoy it stay here at Bucs Report and just enjoy everything. Enjoy it week to week, because it's just phenomenal to be a part of this, and it just keeps getting better.
You know, have you seen those jerseys that are half and half jerseys, like like they're half one team and half another team, or just whatever? Wouldn't it be cool to get a creamsicle jersey that's a number 12, half and half, but the back says like WILLI Brady?
Yes.
Like, you know, where half of it is a Williams jersey, the second half is a Brady jersey.
That would be, again, because, you know, Doug was, you know, he was my first great quarterback. Of course, through the years, I love Craig Erickson. He's my favorite of all time. And I say that not that I'm putting down my love for Tom Brady, but those were some lean years for the Bucs. And Craig Erickson, of course, comes out of Miami, blows his knee out in the bowl game. I think it was, I don't want to say it was the Hula Bowl, but that kid was going to go and it was going to fall in line with the other, you know, Jim Kelly and Testaverde and Gino Toretta, not always all of them top notch, but ends up blowing his knee out and coming here and playing, had balls of steel. I love that kid.
I got a great picture of him when I was shooting on the sidelines. Yeah, back as a photographer. I got a great picture of him looking right at me, ball cocked back, looking straight at me in a preseason game, I think it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, where Craig Erickson's looking right at me with the ball, and that's. I'll try to dig that up for you.
Well, Rick, if you find that, then that'll go on the wall. Because what's funny is I was doing a post today. Going back to 1992, of course, taking some of our old school Bucs fans back there, guys and girls. And, of course, it was Plan B free agency, and Sam Weish was the coach. He was so busy. Sam was, of course, he had taken the Cincinnati Bengals to the cusp of greatness. Ickey Woods and Boomer Esiason comes from the 49ers. He was pretty sure that Steve Christie was going to stay here. Kicker, of course, Steve Christie, number 2, actually was dating a young lady who was a student at the University of South Florida.
A lot of these fans are not going to know this story.
Well, and here's the thing. So we thought of all the things that, and as Buck fans remember this, of all the things that Sam Weish thought he had locked in place, he had like a wink. It wasn't even a pinky handshake, but he had an agreement with Steve Christie that he would be here, so they didn't protect Steve. He left him as one of the unprotected players. Of course, the Buffalo Bills signed Christie away, and Christie would not. In fact, did you know this? Christie was the first NFL kicker in NFL history that recovered his own onside kick in a playoff game. If you remember that great play, Steve Christie runs up. The Bills were down. He runs up like he's going to kick it to the side, boots it straight down the middle where no one expected it. It goes to 10 yards. He falls on it. Phenomenal kicker. Now, 2 years or the next year out of Virginia, the Cavaliers, we end up drafting Michael Husted, so it wasn't as bad of a consolation prize. But my point is, I was writing an article on it that should drop the next day or two. I'm writing a few articles. I actually wrote one today about these Bucs-Bills matchup, so check that out on Bucs Report when it publishes. And here's the thing. You go back and you look for pictures, because I'm looking through the stock photos of Christie, because you talked about that photo of Erickson you had.
Yeah.
And there are no pictures of Steve Christie in a Buccaneers uniform unless it's a football card, because, and it's not your fault, Rick, but it's just because the Bucs at the time, you got a picture of Jack Dempsey, the half-footed kicker who sets the record with the New Orleans Saints, and that was back in 1902.
Right.
But you don't got a picture of Steve Christie in game. Of course, you got a.
Well, we lost Ray. I'm guessing his battery ran out. Oh, right in the middle of a good story. Oh, man. Cup of Ray Kennedy. Oh, he's back. Hold on. Let's see if he's able to stay back or if he's
I'm sorry.
Battery? Are you good?
Yeah, my phone just quit on me, but I'm
okay, good. Finish your story.
But so well, basically that was it, is that, that was just the reason why I was bringing that up today. And I'm looking at it because I'm just looking for reasons for Buck fans, other than the fact that the Bucs want to get this victory and stay in contention for the number one overall seed. Just looking at reasons, and that, and the fact that by the time Joe Ferguson, who was a great, quarterback for the Bills back in the day, came and played for the Bucs for a cup of coffee when the Bucs were going through those times where we were just searching for anything that would work. But he was already.
I forgot. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, I've had a quarterback fetish my entire life. I won't go into detail.
Yeah. Leave that for another show. You are a busy man this week, Ray. You've got. Are you doing Cup of Ray this week?
Cup of. I wouldn't miss it. And here's the thing, because we're going. Bucs Report's got you covered, and it's just so much fun to get the fan involvement. And I love everybody commenting and getting everybody involved. But that's what we're here for. Is just
when all are you on this week?
So basically, it's going to be on Sunday. I'll be doing Cup of Ray. Not sure exactly the time and the place, but I want to drop that because that's my sojourn for the Sports Savvy Soul. And then I'll be doing a pregame show with Jimmy Williams, Jimmy Bills from Sports Talk Florida. And then basically the postgame show. And in between, we're going to enjoy that Buccaneers-Bills matchup at 425 over there at Raymond James on Sunday. So just bringing it large and in charge and having a great time, my friend.
Awesome.
Yo, Rick, thanks for having me, man. I ramble so much, but it's so good talking to you.
I love having you on here. It's great. There's the back and forth banter with somebody who's been there since day one. who's all of that. I mean, I get very happy when I see you in the lobby.
Oh, brother, I get very happy when you get happy. And I'm going to go ahead and close with this, just because I was poo-pooing on Hugh Culverhouse earlier. We've talked about this before, but don't forget what Joy Culverhouse, Hugh Culverhouse's former wife, who's also herself, went on now. Don't forget what Joy said about Hugh Culverhouse. And you remember what she said?
Yep.
She said, go ahead, Rick.
Well, it was something to the effect of, the only reason I'm upset that he's like dead and in the grave is that I can't shoot him again, or something like that.
She said I would dig him up and shoot him myself again.
Yeah.
Like, that's just love, bro. But I'll leave you with that. But again, everybody, make sure you join us for the post-game show after that victory. I don't want to call it victory for sure, but we're optimistic. But looking forward to being on that post-game with you. I'm going to try to fill those shoes of Dave Whitescarver. We're going to have a great time. So make sure you guys tune in here, and also tune in for the pregame show on Sunday as well.
It's going to be a lot of fun, Ray. I'm excited. My friend, I will see you on Sunday morning on Cup of Ray.
Yes.
I'll see you on the pre-game show. Basically, Ray owns Sunday.
Thanks, my friend. Bucs Report owns Sunday, but I agree just the same. Rick, have a great evening, my friend.
Have a good one. Take care.
You too, brother.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Ray Kennedy. Cup of Ray, best of the Bay, and they call him that for a reason. That's for sure. So, yeah, guys, so much going on. So much. I want to thank Big Nasty for being here. That was awesome. What a way to kick the show off. Have Cup of Ray, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy here to close things out. But that was most of the rest of the show, and it was a lot of fun, guys. We did we played the video of Fan Academy, and those are the rules I want you guys to remember. I'm going to make a graphic for them. I am going to make a graphic one more time. So that we can bring that up from time to time, the graphic, just to remind you guys, remember, it's okay to be happy. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to say, our team's freaking good. We're 9-3. We're playing the Bills this week, and I'm pretty confident this team can do this. Now, you strike. Sometimes you have difficult games. Sometimes, whatever, but guys, I think this is going to be okay. I think the Bucs are going to handle this. And I really think that I was more concerned about the matchup, but having watched them, I watched a little bit more, I feel pretty good. They're 7-5. They're not a bad team. They're a very good team. They're probably playoff team. They're right on that sort of bubble, I guess. They're near the bottom for the AFC. This is like a little mini playoff matchup. This is sort of like a miniature playoff matchup. So it'll be fun to watch, to see what happens. And I got a feeling the Bucs are going to handle this just fine. And then we'll deal with what comes after that from there. But there's so much good Buccaneers news. Guys, they handled the Falcons. They really only gave up 10 points. They sacked the quarterback 5 times. They've won 17 out of their last 20 games. It is a good time to be a Bucs fan. Enjoy it. Have fun. Soak it up. Believe. It's time to believe. Stop your complaining. Stop your griping. If you're one of those folks, now's the good stuff. This is the good stuff. This is what we wait for. Stuff you always hope has happened is, you look forward to during those lean years. You're looking forward to what's happening right now. It does not get better than what's happening right now. Chris Godwin is on the cusp of 200 yards or 1,000 yards. Mike Evans, a few games from now, 1,000 yards. The team continues to roll. So let's watch this game. Get ready. And put your red on and get yourself ready for the game, because it's going to be a battle. Like I said, miniature playoff game. It's not going to be an easy one. So root for that team. Get on board. Now's the good stuff. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.